Okay, so continuing, no homework, continuing from yesterday. Oops, that was the wrong thing. We were doing the second clause of this mishnah, which is Al tadin es chaverach ad shetagia limukamo. Do not judge your friend until you reach his place. This is the second clause in the mishnah that we did at the very beginning of the year. So we had our own theory. Then we did the Ovadim Mibartim Noro. So let's try to review that. Anyone want to try saying our theory that tied this into the entire Mishnah?
Yeah, so I was saying until you reach this place is like never, it's an impossibility.
Right.
Other person's experiences and minds and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much saying like don't judge your friends until you reach his place, and you never will, so don't judge him.
Yeah.
And it fits in with all of them because each of them, like, don't separate from the community, whatever, and don't believe in yourself until the day you die. It's like, pretty much means that never believe in yourself.
Right.
And you could say that for each.
Okay, good. That was the approach. I'll say it through all the way just to make sure. So really, like Ayala said, it means. Oh, you know what? I'm just realizing. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That we did the don't believe in yourself until the day you die. That was the first day of Lomdeha. Hold on. I just remembered. I got to start my new minhag. Yeah. Boom. And so that means the people on the recording probably didn't hear you. So I will repeat it anyway. You did a good job though. Yeah. I mean, saying we should get one for Lomdeha. Yeah. All right. So to say again, so what we said yesterday, our theory was this: every clause in this Mishnah is saying, it's saying don't do something as if it were possible to do it, but really it's not possible to do it. Okay, so our thing is don't judge your friend until you reach his place, but really you can't be in someone's place. So really you can never judge the person. And why is it? This is something I didn't really bring out yesterday. Why is it saying it that way? Because it's explaining it to you. It's telling you don't do it, but it's explaining to you why you can't do it. And it's kind of like it almost like tricks you into thinking, yeah, don't judge your friend until you get to his place. And you're like, okay, I'll just wait till I get to his place. And then you realize, oh, that's impossible, and that's why I can't do it. Don't separate from the community because you are always defined by or influenced by or a product of your community. No one can actually separate from the community unless I guess they were born in captivity and never encountered another human being, right? So really, even the people we said like the nonconformists who try to rebel against the community, they're just reacting to the community. They're still being dictated by the community. It's just that they're doing against instead of in line with. Don't believe yourself until the day you die. We said on day one it means don't believe in yourself, that there's a real true you because you don't know how you're going to be until you actually die. Don't say something which is impossible to hear. We translate it as believing that, don't say something that you think is impossible to hear because it will be heard, because you can't truly have anything that's private that you speak of because word could get around. And then don't say when I'm free, I'll learn because maybe you won't be free. All right, then we said, here are all of our questions, by the way. Isn't this obvious? Don't we say don't judge a person until you walk a mile in their shoes, right? So what's the chiddush? 2, until you reach their place, implies that when you do reach their place, then you can judge them. Why? Is it ever right to judge your friend? And is it possible to reach their place? And if it's not, what is the Mishnah saying? 3, how do we reconcile this with the other Mishnah we did of Havidan Eskol Adam Lakaf Zechus? You should judge everyone favorably. What are the parameters for each of these Mishnahs and how do they jive? 4, who is the audience? Is this Midas Chasidus or is it for everyone? 5, who is your friend in this context? Is it someone who you know? Is it any Jew? Is it any person? 6, is this clause related to the other clauses of the Mishnah? If so, how? 7, what is meant by his place? What does that even mean? 8, what does it mean to judge? And 9, what would be the purpose of judging a person in this case? Okay.
So can we answer question 5? Oh, no. The one, Chasidus, yeah. 4.
Yeah. So what would we say? Does this, the way we explained it, the first explanation, does that apply to all people or does it mean as Chasidus? Or what?
It seems like all people.
Seems like all people. Yeah. Seems like it's relevant to all people. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Still review. So he says, if you see your friend come to a test, meaning like he's in a situation where there's a clear like pass fail in life, and he stumbles, meaning he fails, do not judge him unfavorably until you have arrived at a test like him, and you have been saved. So our question was, like, why does that qualify you to judge him just because you were in a similar situation? First of all, it's not exactly the same situation, and like, why should you then judge him? So I think we got an idea, but we were still kind of discussing it at the end of yesterday. So what do we say? if anyone remembers.
I kind of remember, but I'm still unclear on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can explain.
Yeah, sure.
it.
Say what you remember. Maybe that'll trigger my memory.
Okay, so I think you're saying that you're gonna the premise. I thought that you will have to judge some. That you like human nature is to
Human
judge
nature is to
someone.
judge, right?
And you're saying that even though like ideally you can never judge someone, this is a place where like you know what it was like, and I mean you obviously don't know exactly what
Right.
it's like, but you do know to an extent.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is a line.
Okay, right. So that's a good. So let me restate that, and then we'll see if there's more. So we said last time on not last time, we said on the judge every person favorably. It's human nature to judge. So you're gonna want to judge your friend, and when you see them fail, the thought will be, well, if I were in that position, I wouldn't have failed. So the thing is that might not be true, and the closest you can do is if you are in that situation and you succeed. So then you can say, then that judgment would have been correct. Of if I were in that position, I would have succeeded because you were in that position, you did succeed. And even though it's not exactly the same situation externally or internally, it's close enough that it's within the realm of like a reasonable judgment to say that. In the same way as like we said, if you are in I forgot what examples we gave yesterday. Let's say like you're a parent, and you need parenting advice. If you ask another parent for parenting advice, and the other parent said, I'm sorry, your kid is a different kid than my kid, I can't give any advice, that would just be irrational. Like clearly the kids are different, but like you're in a similar position, so you do have some insight from inside,
But I still like if this is definitely directed at a chassid, even if it's like the nation and the chassid, it's for sure the chassid, right?
So I'm actually not so sure about this, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the other clauses in the Mishnah, most of them, if not all of them, don't seem like a thing that a chassid would be prone to do. For example, don't separate from the community. Well, I guess you could say he might want to separate so he could just like
below him.
or yeah, right, or so he could learn or whatever. So maybe that. But this last one, when I'm free, I'll learn. That does not sound like a thing that a chassid would be saying because he's going to be someone who's very involved in learning anyway. So it sounds like maybe this whole thing is more for the average individual, or at least is in the realm of that. I don't know.
Even the mishnahs, which are for the average individual, are they not also for the chassid?
Yeah, they're for the chassid, but they're for the chassid in the sense like the Rambam said in the beginning that if the chassid doesn't have a good midah, it's going to affect the entire community in a bad way. So like the stakes are higher for him,
Because this I feel like is like a lower level. Like if you can't not judge someone, then fine, do this.
Yeah. So today we're going to see in two interpretations from now, we're going to see one that I think addresses the chassid thing. Okay, and maybe we can adapt that to this. All right, let's go.
Explanation is really, I don't know. I don't like it at all because I feel like it gives you a false sense of security in a way that you're like, oh, I went through the same situation as them, now I can judge them.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of worse.
Yeah.
It's better to judge them not knowing anything.
That's interesting.
And to judge them
I hear that.
You've been in the situation and then you're assuming, oh, I get how it is for them, but you still don't get how it is for them.
Right.
If anything, it's even more. It's like
I hear what you're saying, and I think the big unanswered question here that we didn't satisfactorily answer is like what is the practical benefit of judging the person? Like that's why we said it's just human nature. But I feel like that worked much better in the Pirkei Avos example when you were talking about they're judging. Sorry, this is Pirkei Avos. In the Dan L'Chavos Chus example, there it was judging where it's an ambiguous case, so you will form a judgment automatically. Here, it's like the person failed their test. Like that's a fact. That's not like something that's ambiguous.
I feel like it's gonna adjust to human nature because even if they do have an automatic judgment about this person, telling them, oh, don't worry.
Okay. I have an idea. Hold on just a second. Maybe here's the thing. So in the ambiguous scenario, it's human nature to judge, right? To like interpret the behavior. I mean, that we can agree, that we agree with on last time. Who are you really judging here? You're really judging yourself, I think. You're saying, I wouldn't have made this mistake. So you're using this person's failure as like a rationalization for how good I am.
Well,
like
an ego thing. Yeah.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
It's not you wouldn't though, you didn't. Like you literally were giving
No. I'm saying like before, meaning the person who this Mishnah is talking to is someone who's looking at the other guy who was in a test and saying, well, if I were in that case, I would have passed the test. Right. So he's using that person's failure to boost his own ego, and therefore the Mishnah is saying, well, let's see what you have no right to say that. Let's see what you do when you actually are in that case, and if you actually make it out, then you can say, not about him, you could say about me. If I were in that case, a situation, I would have done it. Meaning, you don't know what you're going to do till you're in that situation. So it's really a self-knowledge thing.
It's still an ego thing, but I guess it's like a self-awareness.
Yeah, it's a self-awareness, self-knowledge thing. I think that's much cleaner than yesterday because it removes it from the thing of why are you judging this guy anyway? It's not that you're judging this guy; it's you're using this guy's failure to make you feel good about yourself. It's not necessarily something a chassid would do. I don't think. I think this is still something that an average person would be more prone to doing. But it puts it. I think it answers that question of like who this is talking to and why we're telling him this.
Yeah.
And it fits in really well with the way he explains it, that wait till you're actually in that situation. And if you do pass the test, then you can pat yourself on the back, you know.
Take advice to someone that already is very like a bad person.
No, I don't think, I think we do this a lot. Like, I think, I mean, I can't speak for all of you, but I think
I judge people, but I feel like my judgment is worse when I've been in the situation.
It's worse
Yeah.
because you take credit for doing
it.
it.
I could do it.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're just an idiot now.
Yeah.
Before, maybe I would assume, like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe with a hard time.
I see.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's a more humbling like experience though, because if you actually went through the same hardship as them, you like understand.
But you're assuming you come out worse than them.
What do you mean you come out with?
Like,
I'm saying like
let's
if
say
you're
you're,
yeah.
let's say like it's a kid taking like an oral test, like
Yeah.
a private oral test. You see them come out crying, they failed. I'm not gonna fail. They're just stupid. You go in and you do amazing. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
you're even dumber than I thought.
Right,
I
right.
thought it was maybe just
Right.
a hard test.
Yeah, I hear.
You're even dumber than I thought.
Yeah.
I really think, I don't know, maybe I'm just framing it in the wrong way, but
Yeah. I hear what you're
yeah,
saying.
I think my judgment is
Yeah.
worse. Like just personally, when I've been in this
Yeah.
situation.
Okay,
I
I definitely-
them a lot more.
I definitely hear the question. I think this is a better interpretation than we had yesterday. And let's think about that. But because we have 4 more to go through, I just want to see a couple more, and then we can maybe piece together the elements we like of all of them. Okay. All right. So this is Yaakov Rabbi Shimshon. I'm not sure who he is. So he says, "Al tadin." I'm going to read just because we got a lot to go through. Al tadin es chavirach. Don't judge your friend. Okay. Im aver chavirach avera. If your friend does a transgression, okay. Al tidinenu v'tomar. Do not, now I translate this as don't sentence him. Okay, I'll explain what that means in a second. Saying dino lisaref.
Not gonna be burned.
He should be burned. He deserves to be burned. Dino litalos. He should be hanged. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, right? Al shenichshal ba'avera kazos, since he stumbled because. Sorry, no, I mistranslated that. Since oops, I did not mean to stop. Wait, hold on a second. Until all because he has stumbled in this transgression. Okay, now just to be clear here. Okay, well, actually, you know, we'll read the whole thing first. Let me share the screen again. Share screen. Boom. Thank you. I've been working on that impression for years. Okay.
You know the ones that like go like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew which one you were talking about. Yeah, like the ceiling ones that come on when there's a fire. Yeah. Okay. So don't say he deserves to be burned, he deserves to be hanged because he stumbled in this transgression. Ad shetagiel makom, until you reach this place, until there comes into your hand an instance of that transgression and you escape and get out of it. Okay. Now, is that your phone?
Yeah,
Okay, it'll go off.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so irregular in the pattern. Yeah.
Like,
Is it Morse code? Is someone sending SOS?
Yeah, I'm like,
So what do you think he's saying here? What's the difference between this and the previous one?
you're not like just judging them, like you genuinely want to punish them.
Yes,
for
it's
this.
emphasizing the punishment. It's saying you deserve a punishment. And by the way, I don't think it's saying, first of all, it's not saying like don't act like a judge and halachically paskin of these things. And there's a clear proof why. Because first of all, you can't paskin this on your own. Okay.
He deserves. Oh, actually, no.
Yeah, I'm translating it as he deserves. But the second thing is we don't hang people as a punishment.
Well,
Never. That's not a Jewish execution.
like,
There is hanging in
chenek,
Torah.
strangulation.
That's not hanging though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's chenek. This is talia, is
Wait,
hanging.
so how do you halachically strangle someone?
No, it's not with your hands. No, it's the they.
after they're dead or something, for an example.
We'll do that. Yeah, that's the hanging thing. But the strangling is they tie or they wrap the cords around their neck, and then they have the two witnesses pull it.
That's the same thing as hanging.
I feel like that's
No,
worse
it's
than
actually
hanging.
not, because when you get hanged, what happens?
It's like you disattach.
Yeah, your neck like
You
breaks
immediately
or snaps. If you're lucky, you immediately die, but otherwise you're in there painfully with your neck like separated from everything. But anyway, so when do we hang? Not as punishment, but say it again, Elisheva.
Like after you kill someone, you could hang them like to begin example.
Yeah. So what? And it's not
Like
even
the
that.
generals from war and stuff, right?
I don't know what generals from war. I know maybe there's a special case I don't know about. In halacha, there's only two things that you hang the body for after execution: avodah zarah and blasphemy. Okay. And what you do is you literally, after they die or after you execute them, you take their body and you put it on a gallows for like a second, and then you take the gallows down. It's like almost like a symbolic thing. It's not a like.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not like a hanging out there for like in like the barbaric societies where like you have their body out there for like a very long time. So that's why I think that this is not saying like I think this is just like hyperbole, like, oh, they should hang him, not like a like he should be halakhically like in subject to the requirement of hanging. Yeah.
They can hang him for 2 seconds.
yeah. After he's dead, right?
I feel like
Yeah.
this one, it kind of intensifies like the egotisticalness of it, where you
Yes.
like, see someone and you're like, not even just like, oh wow, that's so bad. Like,
Yeah.
you're, like literally like they're evil because
Yeah.
you think you're so much more righteous. than
Yes,
them.
exactly.
And then when you come to experience the thing that they've experienced,
Then you're like,
it
maybe you
humbles
shouldn't burn these people. yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Get out of it. What does that mean? Get out of it.
I mean that you don't do the avera.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think this is very similar to the last one. The difference here is that this is like trying to prevent you from see, the last one was trying to prevent you from having a misguided ego boost, the way we were saying it now. This one's preventing you from that and a certain type of like
Self-righteousness.
yeah, but it's like a cruel self-righteousness, like what it reminds me of. And I'm not saying that this is I'm not condemning people whose families have been victims of crimes, but it's like many times you'll see people when it's like some criminal will do something and like people who read the news story will be like, oh, they should like tear his eyes out, or like they should like, they should kill all of his family, and people will just like outlet these very, very vicious, sentiments towards this person. And yeah, the person deserves whatever justice dictates, but it's the viciousness. When you vent that viciousness combined with the self-righteousness, that like, would you really want to be held to those standards that this person is wishing upon you? Like, that's like a very like so much like of a double standard that you're just breaking all empathy with this person. Like, not only are you implicitly saying I wouldn't have fallen into this, but you're saying like, yeah, like torture him to death or whatever, So I think this is trying to dissuade that, and this I don't think is for the chassid.
Well, what bothers me about this though is why can't you do it when you
Yeah,
when
that's
you're
the
like,
difficult.
okay, now you can remember that.
yeah. That's the difficult part about this. Yeah. I don't know. Same problem as last time, right? Yeah.
I feel like the words that they use to describe like when they're in the instance of transgression, it says like the not selling and like you
Escape,
you
yeah.
escape out of it. Like that kind of shows like there's some sort of like struggle there. Where you
Yes,
have
that's
to-
also true. That's a good point. He uses even two verbs for it: tisha mate and not sell.
Oh, yeah.
Is escape and get out. Like, it's yeah,
I was
definitely a struggle.
thinking, which is probably completely just me misinterpreting it. I was thinking it was saying that you sinned, but you got out of the punishment. But I don't think it says that.
I mean, the words could say that, but I feel like that makes it even harder to interpret.
No, really, I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because you got out of the punishment, so it could do sense of empathy. Oh, it's not saying that.
yeah.
I
You
just
imagine
made up my
if you
own
did something
story.
bad, so you're like, oh well.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's hard. I don't know what to make of it. I just thought it was interesting the way he's reading the first one. Okay, the next one is my favorite. Okay, not to prejudice you. This is Rבינו Yona. Okay, and it's not just because I really like Rבינו Yona, but it's I think it's the best prat. Gam ze min ha'inyan she'in la'adam lahamin ba'atmo. So this is the same topic as you shouldn't believe in yourself until they die. Lismoch bada'ato yoser midai. You shouldn't rely on his mind. He shouldn't rely on his mind excessively. Do you remember what the example was that Rashi gave of on this in the beginning of the year? The person who, like, when he says you shouldn't believe in yourself until the day you die, he gave an example of a person who like no, I'll give you a hint, it has to do with Suzuki.
Well, be taught like once they're older, smart enough or something?
This did have to do with getting old.
This guy, like a Kohen Gadol.
Yeah, Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Yochanan the Kohen Gadol was a Kohen Gadol for 80 years, and he became a heretic at the end, right? Yeah. So that was the idea from the first part. So this is continuing that, where you basically trust yourself. Oh yeah, I have an 80-year track record as a tzaddik, and then boom, they add a yud. Tzeduki. Yeah. It's not just adding a yud, but yeah, yeah. I didn't think that through. V'kasher yireh chaver b'mala gadola, when he sees his friend who's in a high position, okay, mala gadola. And I'm translating as high position, not high level, because I don't think it's talking about a level of righteousness. I think it's like a high position, either of righteousness or of government or of like award or recognition or kavod. Ve'eno yisnahag b'yosher, and he's not behaving properly. Al yomar, he should not say, im hayisi tachtav, if I were in his place, lo esed davar mikol asher hu ose laroa, I wouldn't act the way he did. Okay. Now, so far it sounds similar, but here's the catch. You don't know what the day may bring. That's a mishnah pasuk we did the day we got into quarantine. Yeah. I said, Altis halal biyom machar kilo. It's from mishnah. Kilo tedam yeled yom. Don't praise yourself on tomorrow because you don't know what the day will bring.
But I feel like I do remember that.
Yeah. And we didn't know what the day would bring even then, right? Because we thought we were just going into quarantine for a couple of weeks, not for permanent. Okay. You don't know what the day may bring. Kamocha kamohu kashar b'nei adam. You are like he who are like other people. Meaning, you're all human beings. And then this is the key phrase. V'ulai osa ma'ala tate oscha kamohu. Maybe that high position would influence you like it did him. Okay? Ukishitagia limakomo ulama'alaso. When you reach his place and his position, v'tamir al midosecha, and you pass over your midos, which I cannot translate for the life of me. We'll have to figure out what that means from context. This came from another shir of mine earlier this week. Mavir midos. I can never translate that like in a consistent way. I feel like in certain cases it means other things. Well, a lot of times it means like you overlook when someone does something bad to you. You know. Then you can criticize his midos. So first of all, what's his shot in ad shitagia limakomo? His high position. So what's the idea that he's saying here? Main idea.
You're like criticizing a leader?
Yes, and not necessarily a leader, but someone who's in some position of prominence. And what is it saying? What is it saying that you should think to yourself about? Like, in other words, why shouldn't you judge him?
Because you may have the same flaws.
Okay, you may have the same flaws, but you're not in his position. So for example, okay, like let's anyone have an example that comes to mind? I have a couple, but
yeah, in the show,
yeah,
The Resident, there's like this guy, I'm top chief of surgery.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
everyone's
God,
like,
yeah.
oh, he used to
The
be such a
Resident.
good doctor or whatever, but like now you just got influenced by the power. But like those
Uh-huh.
are the residents. Like
Yeah.
that, so
Okay, good. That's a good example. I think we came up with an example yesterday.
Oh, with the Charlotte Clemson?
No,
just
Justin Bieber. So apply this to Justin Bieber. So first of all, what would the person who has not learned the Mishnah say when they see Justin Bieber and all his trouble he gets into?
Oh, terrible.
What a terrible person! What a he has no self-control. Blah blah blah. Now, what would this Mishnah suggest that we think about? How would this suggest that we think about it?
You're not famous. You don't know what that brings.
Exactly right. Is like, let's say from when did he get famous? How old was he? Like
13.
yeah, right. Like a teenager. Like what would happen if you came of age as a teenager, right? And you guys are close enough to the age of 13 that you can probably remember what it was like to be 13, right? Probably
No,
not.
that was too long ago.
Right.
I don't really remember much.
Okay, so it was that you blacked it out. Yeah, right. So it's like,
Those are my prime years.
oh no.
I remember bits and pieces.
Yeah.
12 to 13.
You would probably agree though that you're not so capable of making decisions back then,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, for sure.
I can
And-
barely make decisions now.
And you know how easy it is for people who are talented for that to get to their head. And suddenly the world is admiring him and he has money and he is successful and he's actually, I'm not a Justin Bieber listener, but I assume he is good at what he does. Like, otherwise he wouldn't be that famous. He's got to be good at what he does. And, girls are throwing themselves at him. Drugs are throwing themselves at him. If you were in that position, I don't know if it's so clear that you would make it out. And the proof of that is all the children, actors, and musicians who are in the positions like this, the vast majority of them end up in the same road, and very few of them make it out still intact. And the ones who do, usually it's because they get out early or because they just don't involve themselves in the Hollywood scene, you know,
Or their parents protect them.
or their parents protect them. Right,
My
right.
problem with this interpretation is that if it's someone who's in a position of power, the place at which you stop judging them shouldn't be when you reach their place, because that doesn't really seem possible in a lot of cases. It should be when you look at the broader picture. Like, that shouldn't be the resolution of the mishnah. Like, don't judge a person until you're in the place, because you're never gonna get into.
Okay, I feel like this is the obstacle we came up against yesterday. Also, you can be in their place, not their exact place, but you can be in a position where you are being subjected to similar influences that they were influenced with.
I mean, that I'm okay with for a regular person. But
Yeah.
if we're saying someone who's like in a high position,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, that's a little bit more unrealistic.
No, I think if anything, how so?
Like,
Tell
let's
me
say
again.
you're judging, I don't know, a rabbi, the president,
Yeah.
like anyone really who's like in a position of leadership that you're probably never gonna get to. Like, we're never gonna be.
Yeah, yeah,
rabbis.
and therefore for that, then you shouldn't judge. You shouldn't criticize them. You can criticize their actions, but you can't judge them in terms of like if I were in his place, I would have done better. You know.
Right, but if you're gonna judge them anyway, and you want to do it in a positive way, you shouldn't waiting till.
Right, but see, he's actually spelling out what I was like interpreting of the Ovadim Bartanura. If I were in his place, I wouldn't do any of the bad things that he is doing. And he's saying, no, you are a human being like him and like all other human beings. You have emotions. And if you were in that place, then there's a good chance that you would fall victim to those influences the same way he did. So if you get to his place, and I think pass over your mitos here means that you keep your mitos intact, you know, so then you can actually like criticize his actions from that perspective and like know what it's like.
Different than the other two.
What was that?
How's it
Because this is saying that the situation he's in is what caused him to behave this way.
The other ones.
The other ones are just saying any situation that a person's in at all. This is like a much more narrow category where like you're in a position of prominence in a certain thing. Like I'll give you another example, right? Is like I'm a big fan of Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, philosopher king, amazing, philosopher. Now there are very few philosopher kings in history. Okay, most people who became emperors over the Roman Empire did not do so well and gave into all of their like, their bad qualities and stuff. So when he's in that position and he's talking about how a person should live and like what things an emperor should be on guard against and like struggling with his own temptations and stuff like that, I believe him because he is in that position of power and he is overcoming it. So I think he has a realistic grasp of what that struggle and what those temptations are like. So I would listen to him. But for the person on the street, like the average peasant who just says, "Oh, if I were an emperor, I wouldn't have made all these foolish decisions and like let this empire go to waste or whatever." That person doesn't know what it's like necessarily. So I think this is more realistic than the other things because it is such a specific scenario, of being in a very specific type of leadership position or prominence.
Doesn't saying like don't learn from not learn, but don't like look at someone in a high position action as bad until you know for sure kind of thing. Is that what it's kind of saying? 'Cause once you're in your position,
yeah,
you know for a fact that you can overcome it, and it's not just a necessary part of the job.
Yeah, that's part of it. But the one nuance here also is that their position is what can cause them to go bad. It's not them. In other words, it's not just them. Like when you condemn someone for making bad decisions in this high position, you often say it's their bad character. It's really their position that put them into this.
But then once you know for sure that it's not their position, then you could criticize them as a person.
Then you're in a position to be able to evaluate and say like if I were in that position, then I wouldn't do these bad things. That's the judgment. Like let's not lose sight of this. This is what he's saying it means to judge. This one line.
But what
If I were in that position, I would not do these bad things.
does that mean though? Because no one just says that and just like that leads to a bunch of other.
People say this all the time.
They say that, but not in
Right,
and of
but they
itself.
don't say
They make
just,
other
I'm not
judgments
and
too.
just walk away like okay, like that leads to them thinking either that they're proud or that like that other guy is bad. Like maybe this is what they're saying, but they're either thinking, oh, that guy is terrible. They're passing judgment
Yeah.
on that guy, or they're saying, oh, I'm just so great.
So I'm not hearing the question though. So,
So the
therefore
question
what?
is, why can they make those judgments either that the other guy's terrible or that they are so fine? They are so great. I guess I could hear because
Right, because
realistically you did.
you did it. Yeah.
But then the other guy is so terrible. I feel like when you say this,
Yeah.
like the reason that you're saying this is to put him not. Yeah, I guess like you are.
So it's a good question. How is this expressing itself? Meaning,
and
is this
not-
something only going on in the person's head, or is he like proclaiming this? Because what I'm thinking here is, you see people do this in politics all the time, right? Is now let me put it this way: we got to separate between policy decisions, which I think a person does have the right to talk about if they know the facts. Like the U.S. should or should not have gone to war in this case. But then there's other things in terms of like the the individual things that the person did. Like, let's say, for example, like like I don't know how much this was before he became president, but like JFK, right? So people love JFK, but what was one of his really bad mitos? Yes, is he was a serial adulterer, like hundreds of women, right? Like,
Didn't he have a wife?
yes, that was yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to find a trend in some.
Not only did he have a wife, but he had a wife who was viewed as the most beautiful woman in the United States at the time, and like everyone like made it's a dream, like, but he was lots of adultery, right? So the thing is, it's very easy for us to do what Leia's doing in her head right now, like, oh my,
Oh, I really like that. Open up.
but so what this is saying, so now the question is this just saying we shouldn't think like this in our minds, or is it saying that we shouldn't publicly like condemn and criticize and badmouth this person, because that promotes a certain like feeling that we can pass judgment on people who are in very, very special circumstances that we don't really know what it's like to be there, and then that creates a bad thing for society.
I would pick the individual just because he's saying once you pass the test, you could do it. So otherwise, like,
right,
you wouldn't want to go around society saying like, "Oh, I was a king and I was so much better." Like,
no, but I'm saying it's preventing the average person from saying statements like that, which we see that people do.
I think it does make sense. Like if a politician, let's say you're a politician, and you make a statement about other politicians, like it's more credible.
Yes, right. Yeah, it would keep those types of judgments in the realm of people who know what they're talking about. It's almost like, it's not exactly the same thing. It's almost like, how people talk about how, during the pandemic, everyone is an immunologist. Like everyone thinks that they know like what is good for disease and stuff. Can you imagine if we only had people talking about medicine and science who were doctors and scientists? It would take all that noise out of the public square, out of the public sphere, and people would realize like, okay, those guys know what they're talking about because they have access to the facts. So similarly here, if people are very quick to judge leaders, and we saw this in the Don Lakov's mishnah, where we said, why would you take a tzaddik and like judge him unfavorably? Because people rejoice when they see someone who's perfect failing, or they get jealous of their power, or like it makes them feel better about their own mistakes, So if this mishnah is trying to prevent people from engaging that sort of thing by saying, don't judge people in high positions for their own failures until you're there and you don't fail. And if that became a norm, so then you would have leaders who might be able to criticize other leaders, and then that would be instructive. But then the norm for Klal Yisrael would be that they're just, okay, I can't judge this person because they're in a high level or high position. That's what I was saying about the public thing, even though it is saying until you personally have been in that situation.
Like a different question.
Yeah.
That's your point. Like, what is the whole purpose of criticizing them anyway? Of judging them anyway?
Yeah,
like, what is any gain that they could get?
Yeah.
Is there any?
We're back to that question again.
Injustice in the world, especially if you use an example like a leader or someone that has a lot of influence. If you're in that position, like let's say two celebrities, someone criticized Justin Bieber. Actually, no, it doesn't work. But let's say like in a Jewish society, like a big rabbi is spreading something.
Yeah.
And like he has bad midos and it's just a bad example for people.
Yeah.
And another big rabbi criticizes him. That's good.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for society.
Right.
So it seems to be saying that because it seems to be saying only if you're in that position you could criticize him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, sorry, just one more point. Another thing this reminds me of is, again, it's not an exact application, but the shir I gave on evaluating what Reuven did wrong. So like when the Torah points out the fault of a tzaddik, then the Torah is doing that because the Torah has the authority, but if you just let everyone project whatever they want into the text and be like, oh yeah, well, I don't think this person is doing the right thing, that it just kind of opens the doors to people speaking about stuff they don't really know about, similar to that. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, like I guess in some sense that's the case, but also if something's bad, if like there's corruption or whatever, you don't want to say like, oh, only a leader could point it out. Like,
Right. So
corruption is corruption.
right. So again, this is not in the realm of the practical. Like when you are actually trying to stop corruption or hold people accountable or whatever. So then I think that is different because then you do need to actually like, in other words, you shouldn't say, for example, like, oh, Nixon was under a lot of pressure, so like we can excuse Watergate. Like, no, that was illegal. Like, so you have to prosecute criminals, but in terms of judging them and talking about their moral failings from a perspective where you don't have all the data because you've not been in that position, like that's the type of thing that's trying to prevent.
But I think even so, like let's say JFK and something, it's not like he like a legal matter, right?
Yeah.
So still though, like you could
It
learn
could become
from
that
it.
if he was with people like
Fine,
in our
let's say Justin
position.
Bieber. I'm saying like some random person where it's not a legal matter.
Yeah.
Like there are many cases of that. Then why? Then what did you just say?
That if it's criminal behavior, you still have to like hold the person
Right.
accountable. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you still want to learn not to do something. Like
Yeah.
you could still say like, oh, he did that. It's a bad thing. Let's not do it. Like the
Yeah.
whole Mishnah perspective that
Yeah.
like, you don't. We were talking about it's by the dumb cops club.
Yeah.
You're saying you could like there's a difference between judging them. Maybe this is the difference, and that's why it's not the case. But like you could judge them, or you could just. I guess it's like kind of judging them, but you're taking it as a lesson for yourself.
Yeah.
So then that's good.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
So that's not only a person in the same position could do that. Anyone could do that. Even if you weren't in the leadership position, you
Right.
could still say.
Right. But even if you're doing it from a Mishlaic perspective, you still have to be operating on the right facts.
Yeah, but you could also just say that this is bad in any case.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say it's bad in any case, like you could do that, but you could also have a separate part which basically says like I'm not going to hold this person accountable.
Yeah, meaning like let's say committing adultery with 100 people is bad,
Yeah.
right?
100?
I think it might have been way more. I mean, like
I thought he was like the star of the American people.
yeah, see, everyone has their faults. Yeah. But anyway, like you could say that committing adultery 100 times is bad, but like if I were in that position, there's no way I would have resisted that. Like that would be like I think the healthy perspective where you're getting the Mishlaic idea, but you're also not judging him in the sense that you're not saying like I would have done better than that. Yeah. It's in other words, it's recognizing the pressures that come from being in high positions. That's like what this mishnah is trying to do according to Rביnu Yona.
Are we taking the assumption that what they're doing is actually bad?
It sounds like it. It sounds like well, it's eno yisnaheg b'yosher. So that's actually a much lower bar for bad than like the last of the Farshim said avera, which is like an actual transgression. This is just like they're not behaving properly, Yeah.
You're assuming, but something that's not right.
Something no, it might not
Like
even
like raising tax. Someone raises taxes, and you're saying I would never do that. It's so bad for people. Is something like that?
No,
or
I think it's like
something
personal
different?
behavior, personal conduct. Yeah. All right, let's do one more in the next 4 minutes. This one is totally different than everything else. Okay, Meiri. I'm just going to read it in English. If you see a stranger in your city and you observe him refined and glorifying himself and showing off his distinguished mitos, okay, do not conclude to yourself to judge him as though he had established those things until you reach his place where he lives, okay, and you see his conduct in his location, whether it is in agreement with this. Yeah, then you can judge him as such. Okay, why? He says there are many degenerates like a person who was like bad mitos, and commoners who display their hooves. You know what that idiom is from?
Basically, just portray a better version.
This is a famous Rashi. I mean, it's probably from Chazal about the pig.
People have like
Chicken.
No, it's not like that. No, it's the pig,
Oh.
right? So what do you need to be kosher as an animal?
Split hooves.
Split hooves and chewing your cud. So the pig has the hooves, but they don't split the cud, so they don't chew their cud. So I'll say that the pig will go, see, I'm kosher, and show his hooves, but really he's not kosher. So yeah, exactly, right. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So here too, these people display their hooves in another place, and they act pious to show off when they're really not. So it's saying don't fall into the trap of someone who's going around bragging about their good mitos, either verbally or like showing off, like I'm such a good person, or like acting good. Don't be trapped by that until you see them when they are in private. And if they act this way in private, then like in public and in private, so then you can assume that it's actually like good mitos. There's a saying and also a Harry Potter quote about this. The saying is like something about like you have to look at the way people treat their waiter. So you heard of that before? And isn't there? Hold on, there's got to be. I think there's a Harry Potter thing about something Harry treating inferiors. Harry Potter treating inferiors. If you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. So this is not saying the exact same thing, but it is saying like don't look at their public behavior, exclusively, because people could put on an act.
Right.
See how they are in private, how they treat the members of their household, how they treat the people who are not like there when they're showing off, and then you'll really know who they are. So this kind of avoids all of the questions of well, why would you judge someone? Because this is answering it, because you do need to know whether the person is actually like for practical purposes. Yeah, for practical purposes, whether this person is like just putting on a pious act or whether they actually are a good, a good person. Because that's going to affect your decisions, whether you rely on them or not, whether you can trust them, whether you endorse them, like in terms of positions and stuff.
When it says when it says they're alone, does it say alone? What does it
Alone.
Say?
Does it say alone?
Where he lives.
Yeah, where he lives, yeah.
That's
Shehu
we're
Darbo.
assuming to mean like when he's alone by himself.
I assume it means in his home. Maybe in his city, but I think in his home is like the thing, Another example of this, Lahavdil, is like, I'm sure you've heard that seminaries, when they do the interview, but then they'll also, some seminaries will check out like your Instagram and stuff like that, and like sometimes they'll find someone who like on the seminary like acts really great, and then their Instagram is full of like drug usage and stuff like that, and like, that's just
That's a bad
yeah. Alrighty.
Like the guy that stalked his rabbi under the bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was just trying to do this.